Ambassador Kethver stood at the tall windows of his office on the council station. He watched the stars through the clear metal and remembered that day 50 years ago. The day the humans left, he had been younger then. His blue skin was darker, and his forearms moved with more energy. Now he was old and tired, but he still remembered Director Sarah Chun, walking into the great hall where all the galaxy's leaders met. The humans always looked strange to him. They had only 2 arms and 2 legs. Their skin came in different colors but was always so soft. No scales, no thick hide, no natural armor. They seemed weak. But their eyes were always moving, always watching, always thinking. That last day, Director Chun had worn her simple gray uniform. Her dark hair was pulled back. She carried no weapons, no guards stood beside her. She just walked to the center of the room where all the species could see her. "We withdraw our membership," she had said. Her voice was calm and quiet. "We wish you well." That was all. No anger, no demands. No threats like the Vex would have made. No long speeches about honor like the Morden loved to give. Just those simple words. Kethver remembered how the other ambassadors had looked at each other. Some smiled, some nodded. The humans were finally leaving. After 200 years of causing problems, they were going away. The Zelani Empire had always been the strongest. They ruled over 60 star systems. Their ships were fast and their weapons were deadly. The Vex Collective was smart. They shared one mind across millions of Badas and could solve any problem by thinking together. The ancient Morden had lived for thousands of years and knew all the old secrets of the galaxy, but the humans? They argued with each other. They changed their minds. They asked too many questions. They wanted to vote on everything instead of following the wisdom of their leaders. They were young and foolish and weak, or so everyone thought. Kethver turned away from the window and walked to his desk. The reports were piled high. Every day brought more bad news from across the galaxy. He picked up the first one and read it again, even though he knew what it said. The outer rim was falling apart. Pirates attacked trade ships every day. Whole colonies were being raided and burned. The local governments were too weak to stop it. They kept asking the council for help, but the council had its own problems. For 200 years, human peacekeepers had patrolled those distant systems. They flew in small ships with weak weapons, but somehow they kept the peace. When they left, everyone thought the local police could handle the job. They were wrong. Kethver set down that report and picked up another. This one was about the trade. Networks, the great shipping lanes that carried goods between star systems were breaking down. Ships were getting lost. Cargo was being stolen. Prices were going up everywhere. The humans had run most of the trade agreements. They talked to everyone, made deals, solved problems when ships were delayed or when buyers and sellers disagreed. Other species thought this work was beneath them. Let the humans handle the boring details while the real leaders made the big decisions. But now the details were killing them. Another report told about the research stations. Strange things were happening in deep space. Stars were acting wrong. Space itself was bending in dangerous ways. The monitoring stations that watched for these problems were failing one by one. Humans had built most of those stations. They studied things that other species thought were not important. They watched and measured and sent reports that the council usually ignored. The reports were full of numbers and theories that seemed to have no practical use. Now, those stations were going dark. The humans who ran them were gone. The equipment was breaking down. And the strange things in space were getting worse. Kethver's door chimed. He looked up to see Counselor Zafara entering. The Vex looked like a tall, thin shadow with many joints in her arms and legs. Her black eyes showed no emotion, but Kethver had worked with her long enough to read the signs. She was worried. "The economic reports are in," Zafara said. Her voice sounded like wind through metal. "The Outer Systems Bank has collapsed. The agricultural worlds are reporting crop failures. The mining guilds are fighting each other instead of working." Kethver was not surprised. He had seen this coming for months. "What does the collective think we should do?" The collective is divided. For Vex, this was like admitting defeat. They never disagreed with themselves. Their shared mind was supposed to have all the answers. Some voices say we should send our fleets to restore order. Others say we should focus on protecting our core worlds. The debate goes in circles. And the Morden? Elder Thussum says this is just a temporary setback. He believes the galaxy will find its balance again, as it always has. He thinks we should wait and let nature take its course. Kethver laughed, but there was no joy in it. Wait for what? For everything to fall apart? Zephyra sat down in the chair across from his desk, her long limbs folded in ways that hurt to watch. Do you remember what the humans used to say in the council meetings when we were discussing some crisis? They said many things, most of it was nonsense. They would say, who is going to fix this? And when we said it was not our problem, or that it would solve itself, they would just ... Go fix it themselves. Kethver was quiet for a moment. He did remember that. The humans were always volunteering for jobs that no one else wanted. Boring jobs. Dangerous jobs. Jobs that gave no glory or profit. We thought they were showing off, he said slowly, trying to prove they belonged with the great species of the galaxy. Maybe they were just doing what needed to be done. The two aliens sat in silence. Outside the window, a Zolani patrol ship was docking at the station. It looked strong and proud with its curved hull and bright weapons. But Kethver knew it was coming back from the Outer Rim with nothing to show for its mission. The pirates were too smart, too fast, too spread out. The patrol ships could win any battle, but they could not win the peace. The humans had never needed big fleets to keep the peace. They sent small groups who talked to people, who learned the local problems, who found ways to make enemies into friends. Other species thought this was weakness. Now they were learning it might have been strength. How many humans were there in the galaxy? Zephyra asked. At the peak? Maybe 50 billion across all their colonies and stations? That is nothing compared to our populations. The Zilani Empire alone has over 1 trillion citizens. The collective has billions of bodies. How could so few humans make such a difference? Kethver did not have an answer. He had been thinking about this question for months. The humans were not the strongest or the smartest or the oldest. But somehow they had been holding everything together. Maybe, he said slowly, they were in all the right places. A new alarm started ringing in the hallway outside. Emergency lights began flashing. Kethver's desk screen lit up with an urgent message. Another star system was reporting problems. Another colony was calling for help. Another piece of the galaxy was breaking down, he thought about. Director Chun walking out of the council chamber 50 years ago. Her back straight, her steps calm and sure. The humans had not looked back. They had not said goodbye to their friends or threatened their enemies. They had just left. At the time, it seemed like surrender. Now it was starting to look like wisdom. They knew, Kethver said quietly. They knew this would happen. Zephyra tilted her head. What do you mean? They tried to warn us. All those reports about system failures and social problems. All those proposals for new safety measures and backup plans. We ignored them. We thought they were being paranoid. You think they left because they knew we would not listen? Kethver looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, human ships had flown away to an unknown destination. 50 years of silence. No messages, no contact, no trace of where they had gone. I think they left because they realized something we are just starting to understand. What? Is that we never needed them to serve us? We needed them to save us. The alarm kept ringing. More reports kept coming in. And in the vast darkness of space, the galaxy continued its slow slide toward chaos while the humans watched from. Wherever they had gone, they had left in silence. Now the galaxy was learning what that silence really meant. 3 months after his meeting with Zephyra, Kethver found himself in the deepest part of the council station. He walked through halls he had never seen before, following a young next technician named Veltar. The walls here were older, made of different metal that hummed with strange energy. The archive is just ahead, Veltar said. Her voice was higher than most Vex, and she moved with nervous energy. We found it by accident while fixing the main computer systems. They stopped at a heavy door marked with symbols in several languages. Human writing was at the bottom, smaller than the rest. Kethver could read some of it. It said, "Historical records authorized personnel only." "How much data is in there?" Kethver asked. "Everything," Veltar replied. 200 years of human activity in the galaxy. Meeting records, personal logs, research reports, communication files. The collective has been analyzing it for weeks. The door opened with a soft sound. Inside was a room full of glowing screens and humming machines. Counselor Zephyra was already there, standing very still in front of a large display. She did not turn when they entered. "Show him the Karos incident," she said quietly. Veltar touched a control panel. The screen filled with images from 40 years ago. Kethver recognized the Karos system, 3 planets rich in rare metals, claimed by both the Vex Collective and the Morden Empire. It had nearly started a war. The images showed Vex mining ships approaching the asteroid belt. Morden warships moved to block them. Weapons were charging. Battle was only minutes away, then human ships appeared. Not warships, they were small diplomatic vessels with light shields and no real weapons. They flew right between the 2 fleets. "I remember this," Kethver said. "The humans interfered in our legitimate claim to those asteroids." "Watch," Zephyra said. The screen showed what happened next. A human diplomat named Marcus Webb spoke to both fleets at the same time. His words were calm and simple. He did not take sides. Instead, he asked questions. Why do the Vex need these metals? Why do the Morden claim this territory? What happens if you fight? Who benefits from war? Kethver had thought those questions were stupid at the time. Everyone knew why they needed the metals. Everyone knew who owned what. But as he watched the old recordings, he saw something different. Webb kept asking questions until both sides started answering. The Vex needed the metals for their deep space projects. The Morden claimed the territory because their ancestors had visited it once long ago. Neither side actually wanted a war, but neither wanted to look weak. The human found a solution. Veltar explained. The Vex could mine the asteroids, but they had to hire Morden workers and share the profits. Both sides got what they really needed. "We thought it was a temporary fix," Zephyra added. "But look at this." The screen changed to show more recent data. The Caro system was now one of the most productive mining operations in the galaxy. Vex and Morden worked together. Their children attended the same schools. Some had even married, across species lines. The humans did not just stop a war, Zephyra continued. They created peace that lasted for decades. Kethver felt something cold in his stomach. "Show me more." For the next hour, they watched file after file. Each one showed the same pattern. A crisis would develop between species. The great powers would prepare for conflict. Then humans would appear and find a way to turn enemies into partners, the Zelani-Vex trade war of 37 years ago. Human economists had created new shipping routes that benefited both sides. The Morden plague crisis of 29 years ago. Human doctors had worked without sleep to find a cure, then shared it freely with everyone. The stellar collapse in the Vega sector 15 years ago. Human engineers had built devices to stabilize dying stars. How many conflicts did they prevent? Kethver asked. Veltar checked her datapad. The collective counts 43 major incidents that could have led to system-wide wars. The humans were involved in resolving all of them. And minor incidents? Over 6,000. Kethver sat down heavily in a chair. 6,000 problems solved. 43 wars prevented. And the Council had seen this as human meddling. "There is more," Zephyra said. "Show him the maintenance records." The screen filled with technical data, charts and numbers and diagrams that hurt to look at. But slowly, Kethver began to understand what he was seeing. The galaxy's infrastructure was vast and complex. Quantum relay networks carried messages between star systems in seconds instead of years. Space lanes were kept clear of dangerous debris. Energy distribution grids powered entire worlds. Transportation hubs moved billions of beings every day. Everyone knew this system existed. No one thought much about who maintained it. Humans, Veltar said simply. 90% of all maintenance and repair work was done by human technicians. They built backup systems for the backup systems. They monitored things that everyone else forgot existed. The screen showed a map of the galaxy, with bright lines connecting every star system. The lines represented all the networks that kept civilization running. As Kethver watched, some of the lines began to fade and disappear. "This is happening now," Zafara explained. "Without human maintenance, the networks are failing. Communication delays are getting longer. Power grids are becoming unstable. Transportation is slowing down. Why did we not notice this before? Because the humans never let anything break completely. They fixed problems before they became disasters. They replaced old equipment before it failed. They solved small issues before they became big ones." Kethver thought about his own government. The Zilani Empire was proud of its efficiency. But their efficiency depended on messages traveling quickly between worlds, on power flowing reliably to their cities, on ships moving safely through space. If those things failed, double quotes, the economic collapse, he said suddenly. "It is not just about trade agreements, is it?" "No," Zafara brought up new data. The banking systems depended on quantum networks for secure transactions. The agricultural worlds used human-designed weather control systems. The mining operations relied on human-built safety equipment. Everything was connected, and humans were maintaining the connections. Veltar added more files to the display. "Look at this research data." Humans were studying phenomena that other species ignored: dark matter fluctuations, spatial anomalies, quantum instabilities. They said these things were dangerous, but no one listened. Are they dangerous? We are finding out. 3 research stations have gone dark in the past month. All of them were studying the same type of spatial distortions that humans warned about 20 years ago. Kethver stood up and walked closer. To the screens, the data was overwhelming. Hundreds of projects, thousands of reports, millions of small actions that had kept the galaxy stable. And it was all falling apart. "They tried to tell us," he said quietly. "Every year," Zafara agreed. "They submitted reports to the council. They requested funding for safety projects. They proposed new monitoring systems. The votes were always the same." Kethver remembered those votes. The Zilani delegation usually voted no. Why spend money on problems that might never happen? Why let humans build more of their strange machines? Why give them more influence over galactic affairs? "We thought they were asking for too much power," he said. "They were asking for permission to save us." A new alarm started ringing. Veltar checked her data pad and her black eyes went wide. "Another spatial anomaly has appeared in the Centauri sector. It is growing. How fast?" "At current rate, it will reach the inhabited worlds in 6 months." Zafara turned to face them both. The humans had a containment facility in that sector. It was shut down when they left. "Can we restart it?" "We do not know how it worked. The technology is beyond our understanding." Kethver felt the weight of 50 years pressing down on him. 50 years of problems that humans had been solving in silence. 50 years of disasters they had been preventing. 50 years of holding the galaxy together while everyone else took credit for the peace and prosperity. "How many other facilities like that are there?" he asked. Veltar was quiet for a long moment. 17 that we know of. Probably more that we have not found yet. And they are all failing? "Yes, how long do we have?" "If the rate of decay continues, maybe 5 years before the major systems collapse completely. Maybe less." Kethver walked back to the door. He needed air, needed space to think. The archive felt too small, too full of evidence of his species' stupidity. "There is one more thing," Zafara called after him. "The humans left something behind. A message. It was hidden in the deep files, coded so only someone with full access could find it. What does it say? Come back tomorrow. The collective is still analyzing it, but I think it might be important. Kethver left the archive with his mind spinning. He walked through the station's corridors, seeing everything with new eyes. The lights that never failed because humans had maintained the power grid. The air that stayed clean because humans had designed the filtration systems. The artificial gravity that never fluctuated because humans had calibrated the generators. How many other invisible things were humans responsible for? How many disasters had they prevented that no one even knew about? He reached his office and sat at his desk. Outside the window, ships came. Commander Yiltos had been searching for humans for 2 years. His ship, the Zilani Pride, was one of 50 vessels sent to find Earth's lost children and bring them home. So far, he had found nothing but empty spaces where human colonies used to be. Today was different. His sensors had detected something in the Kepler 442 system, a place that old records said once held a human research station. As his ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel, Yiltos saw buildings on the third planet's surface. "Take us down carefully," he told his pilot. "If there are humans here, we do not want to frighten them." The research station was larger than expected. White buildings with curved walls spread across a green valley. Gardens grew between the structures. Solar panels caught the light of the system's yellow star. Everything looked perfect and new, but as their shuttle landed, Yiltos noticed something wrong. There were no people, no movement in the gardens, no lights in the windows. The station was beautiful and empty. "Sir," called his science officer, a young Zilani named Crumbles, "I am detecting power signatures. Some systems are still running." They left the shuttle and walked toward the nearest building. The air was clean and warm. Birds sang in the trees. Earth birds brought here by human colonists decades ago. But there were no human voices. The main building's doors opened as they approached. Inside, the lights came on automatically. The halls were clean and bright. Pictures hung on the walls showing humans working together, laughing together, building this place with their own hands. "Sir, look at this," Crumbles called from what appeared to be a dining hall. "Yelt single quotes HOs joined him and stopped in surprise. Tables were still set for meals. Plates of food sat at each place, but the food was fresh and warm. Steam rose from cups of coffee. Bread was still soft to the touch. "How is this possible?" Crumbles whispered. "Automated systems," Yiltos guessed. "But who is maintaining them?" They moved deeper into the station. Every room told the same story. Personal belongings left behind as if their owners had just stepped out for a moment. Computers still running, displaying research data about star formation and quantum mechanics. Beds with rumpled sheets. Books opened the pages someone had been reading. In one room, they found children's toys scattered on the floor. A stuffed animal that looked like some Earth creature sat on a small bed. The walls were painted with bright colors and pictures of spaceships flying among the stars. "Families lived here," Crumbles said quietly. "Families with children," Yiltos agreed. "Where did they go?" They found the answer in the station's main computer. Security recordings from 50 years ago showed the last days of the human colony. Yiltos watched families packing their most precious belongings. Children asking questions their parents answered with sad smiles. Adults hugging each other goodbye as if they were leaving forever. But there was no panic. No fear, no signs that they were running from danger. They moved with purpose, like people following a plan they had prepared for long ago, the final recording showed. Director Maria Santos standing in the empty station. She was an older woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She spoke directly to the camera. "To whoever finds this place," she said, "we want you to know that leaving was not easy. This station was our home for 30 years. We built it with our own hands. We raised our children here. We made discoveries that we hoped would benefit all species in the galaxy." She paused and looked around the empty room. "But we always knew this day might come. We always knew we might have to choose between staying and surviving. We choose to survive. The station will maintain itself for many years. The gardens will keep growing. The research will continue automatically. If our friends from other worlds ever want to learn from what we built here, they are welcome to do so. We go now to join our people. We hope the galaxy finds peace. We hope someone remembers that we tried to help." The recording ended. Yiltos stared at the blank screen, feeling something he had never experienced before. The humans had not just left, they had left gifts behind. Knowledge, beauty, tools that other species could use. Even in departure, they were trying to help. "Sir," Crovin said from another console, "I have found the departure records. 47 families left here on the same day. 3 transport ships carried them to... Coordinates are encrypted. Can we break the encryption? Not with our equipment? This is military-level security." Yiltos sent a message to the other search fleets. Over the following months, they all reported the same pattern. Human colonies found empty but preserved. Research stations still running their experiments. Cities with power and water but no people. Every site had been evacuated with the same careful precision. Personal items left behind, but no clues about where everyone had gone. Security recordings showed calm, organized departures. No one looked back. Meanwhile, the galaxy's crisis grew worse. The Zilani Empire was breaking apart, as member worlds declared independence. Without human mediators to maintain unity, old disputes flared into civil wars. The Vex Collective was experiencing something they called cognitive fractures. Parts of their shared mind losing contact with the whole. The ancient Morden faced their own problems. Their burial worlds, where they laid their dead in special chambers, were becoming dangerous. Radiation leaked from containment systems that humans had built and maintained. Elder the Sim himself had to evacuate his homeworld when the levels became too high. But the worst news came from the galactic core. The massive stabilization array that kept their galaxy's central black hole from becoming dangerous was failing. Without constant human maintenance, its quantum field generators were losing power. If the array failed completely, the black hole would become active again. Stars near the galactic center would be torn apart. The destruction would spread outward, like a wave, taking centuries to reach the outer systems, but destroying everything in its path. The Council met in emergency session every day. Leaders who had once been proud and confident now looked tired and afraid. They authorized more search fleets, offered rewards for information about human locations, and sent messages into empty space begging for any human who might be listening to come home. No one answered. Yiltos continued his search in the outer systems. His crew was exhausted and his ship needed repairs, but he refused to give up. Somewhere in this vast galaxy, 50 billion humans were hiding. They had to be found. His breakthrough came in a system so far from galactic civilization that it had no name, only a number, HD 164595G. Long-range sensors detected structures in orbit around the 4th planet. Structures too regular to be natural. "Take us in slowly," Yiltos ordered. "Full scans. If this is another empty colony, I want to know before we land." But this site was different. As they approached, they could see that the orbital structures were massive, bigger than any human colony they had found before. Space stations connected by long bridges floated above a blue-green world. Ships moved between the stations, but at this distance it was impossible to tell if they were crewed or automated. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "I am detecting transmissions between the stations. The signals are encrypted, but the carrier wave patterns match human technology." "Are they talking to each other or to us?" "To each other, I think. But sir, there are a lot of signals. These stations are not empty." Yiltos felt his hearts beating faster. After 2 years of finding nothing but ghosts, had he finally found living humans? "Send a standard greeting on all frequencies," he ordered. "Tell them we come in peace. Tell them the galaxy needs their help." They waited. The stars moved slowly overhead. The orbital stations continued their quiet dance around the planet below. No response came. "Sir," the communications officer said, "after an hour, one of the stations is moving toward us. On the main screen, they watched a structure the size of a small moon change course. It moved smoothly and silently, its surface covered with lights and what looked like docking bays. Weapon status? Yoltos asked. No energy signatures that. Match known weapon types, reported his security chief. But sir, some of those surface features, I do not recognize the technology. The station stopped a safe distance from the Zalani Pride. For long minutes, nothing happened. Then a small ship detached from the station and flew toward them. It was sleek and white, unlike any human vessel in Yoltos' databases. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. The main screen lit up with a human face. But this human looked different from the ones in the old recordings. His skin was pale, almost white. His eyes were larger than normal and seemed to glow with their own light. When he spoke, his voice was calm but somehow wrong. Commander Yoltos of the Zalani Empire, the human said. We have been expecting you. You do know who I am? We know all the search fleets. We have been watching your progress for some time. You are persistent. Your crew is loyal. These are admirable qualities. Then you know why I am here. The galaxy is falling apart without your people. We need you to come home. The strange human smiled, but the expression held no warmth. Home? Commander? Which home do you mean? The colonies you found empty? The research stations you discovered abandoned? Or perhaps the worlds where humans lived as second-class citizens, always serving, never truly welcomed? That was a mistake, Yoltos said quickly. We understand that now. We. The hidden archive activated the moment Commander Yoltos entered the system. He had been following a coded signal for 3 weeks, a transmission that had appeared suddenly on all Council communication networks. The message was simple. For those who seek truth, follow these coordinates. The coordinates led to an empty system at the edge of known space. No planets, no asteroid belts, nothing but a small artificial moon that his sensors almost missed. It was too regular to be natural, too small to be a normal space station. But as his ship approached, the structure began to glow. Sir, his communications officer said, we are receiving an automated transmission, audio only. Put it through. Familiar voice filled the bridge. Director Sarah Chun, the human who had announced their departure 50 years ago. But this recording was different. Her voice was older, more tired, filled with sadness. Commander Yoltos of the Search Fleet Zalani Pride, yes, we know your name. We know your mission. We know that you have seen our empty colonies and spoken. To our advanced scouts, you want answers, you deserve them. Yoltos felt his skin grow cold. How did they know so much about him? This archive contains the complete record of humanity's time in the Galactic Council. Everything we discovered. Everything we tried to tell you. Everything you refused to hear. The truth about why we left, and the truth about what is coming. The small moon opened like a flower. Inside was a hollow chamber large enough for his ship. Lights guided them to a docking port. As they connected, Yoltos could feel the artificial gravity taking hold. Sir, his science officer warned, I am detecting powerful energy sources throughout this structure. Whatever it is, it has enough power to run a small city. Any signs of life? No life forms detected? But the computer systems are extremely advanced. More complex than anything in our databases. They entered through an airlock that recognized them somehow. The doors opened before they could announce themselves. Inside, they found corridors that curved and branched like the inside of a shell. The walls were covered with screens showing images from across the galaxy. Yoltos recognized some of the images. His own ship appeared on one screen. Other screens showed the failing Zalani colonies, the breaking Next networks, the dying Morden, burial worlds. The galaxy's slow collapse was being monitored in real time. At the center of the structure was a large chamber with a holographic display. As they entered, the display activated. Director Chun appeared, but this was not a recording. She moved and spoke as if she were really there. You are not speaking to the real Sarah Chun, the image said. I died 15 years ago, but my memories, my knowledge, and my purpose live on in the system. I was created to tell you what my People discovered. I was created to explain why we had to leave. Where are the humans now? Yeltos asked. Beyond the galactic edge, preparing for what you still refuse to believe is coming. But first, you must understand how we learned about the threat. The holographic display changed. Now it showed images of deep space, the dark regions between galaxies, but the darkness was not empty. Something moved there, vast shapes that blocked out the stars. We called them the Devourers, Chin's image continued. They are not a species as you understand it. They are something else. Something that consumes entire galaxies and uses the energy to grow larger. The display showed more images. Galaxies, twisted and torn apart, their stars going dark in patterns that spread like infection. Whole spiral arms disappearing into nothingness. Billions of worlds falling into darkness. We first detected their approach 60 years ago. Our deep space monitoring stations found gravitational anomalies at the galactic rim. Stars were disappearing, but not in any natural pattern. Something was taking them. Yiltos stared at the images, trying to understand their scale. How many galaxies have they destroyed? In this local cluster? 7 that we know of, possibly more. They work slowly but completely. They do not conquer worlds. They unmake them. They do not kill populations. They erase them from existence. How? Is that possible? We spent 40 years trying to answer that question. Our best scientists studied the data. Our most advanced computers ran simulations. The conclusion was always the same. The Devourers used technology so far beyond our understanding that it might as well be magic. The display changed again, showing human research stations scattered throughout the galaxy. Yiltos recognized some of them from his search missions. Every human colony, every research station, every diplomatic outpost was part of our monitoring network. We were tracking the Devourers' approach, measuring their speed, trying to predict when they would reach our galaxy. And, at their current rate of advance, they will arrive at the galactic rim in 18 months. Yiltos felt his legs grow. Weak, 18 months. Less than 2 years before these Devourers reached the outer systems. That is why we left, Shun's image continued, not because we were angry with the Council, not because we felt unappreciated. We left because we tried for 50 years to warn you, and you would not listen. The display showed recordings from old Council sessions. Yiltos watched human representatives presenting data about the approaching threat. He saw other species dismissing the evidence as impossible. He saw votes against funding defensive preparations. He remembered some of these sessions. The Zelani delegation had usually voted against human proposals. They seemed too expensive, too paranoid, too focused on problems that might never happen. You thought we were trying to gain more power in the Council, Chun said. You thought we were creating false threats to justify building weapons. You could not believe that we were simply trying to save everyone. But you could have explained better, Yiltos protested. You could have made us understand. Could we? Watch this. The display showed a recording from 30 years ago. A human scientist named Dr. James Park was presenting data to the Council Science Committee. He showed stellar maps, gravitational measurements, energy signatures that proved something was destroying galaxies beyond the rim. The other committee members questioned every piece of evidence. They demanded more proof. They suggested alternative explanations. They accused humans of manipulating the data to support their theories. Dr. Park spent his entire career studying the Devourer threat, Chun explained. He discovered their approach pattern. He calculated their timeline. He designed defenses that might have saved us all. The Council rejected his work as speculative. Fiction. We were cautious, Yiltos said weakly. We needed to be sure. Cautious? No, Commander. You were arrogant. You believed that threats which seemed impossible to you could not exist. You believed that your ancient wisdom was superior to human science. You believed that problems you could not see were not worth solving. The holographic display showed more images, human families leaving their homes, children asking why they had to go, adults packing only what they could carry, leaving behind lives they had built over generations. Our exodus was not a retreat, Chun continued. It was the largest evacuation in galactic history. 50 billion people moved to prepared positions beyond the galaxy's edge. We took with us the knowledge, technology, and resources needed to survive what is coming. Why did you not take the rest of us with you? We tried. For 2 centuries, we tried to prepare the galaxy for this moment. We built monitoring stations to track the threat. We developed new technologies for defense. We created networks to coordinate evacuation efforts. At every step, we were blocked by species who saw our preparations as power grabs. Chun's image walked closer to Yilto's. Her face showed deep sadness. In the end, we faced a choice. We could stay and die with you, or leave and preserve some hope for the future. We chose hope. But the galaxy is falling apart without you, Yilto said. The systems you maintained are failing. Wars are breaking out. Our civilization is collapsing. Yes. And that collapse will happen faster now that the Devourers are close. What do you mean? The Devourers do not just destroy matter and energy, they consume order itself. As they approach, the fundamental forces that hold reality together begin to weaken. Technology fails, societies break down. Even the laws of physics become unreliable. The display showed new images. The failing quantum networks, the spatial anomalies, the power grid instabilities, the mysterious radiation from modern burial worlds. All of it was connected to the approaching threat. The problems you are experiencing now are just the beginning, Chun warned. As the Devourers get closer, the effects will intensify. Your ships will stop working. Your planets will become uninhabitable. Your people will forget how to cooperate with each other. Then we are all doomed, not all. There is still time for some to escape, but not many and not without help. Yilto's looked around the chamber. The screens showed his dying galaxy from dozens of angles. The collapse was everywhere, spreading. Like disease through space, what kind of help? Follow these coordinates, Chun's image said as new data appeared on his ship's navigation system. You will find us there. But understand this, Commander. We are no longer the humans you remember. 50 years of preparation for this war has changed us. We have become something harder, something more focused. We will not save your empires, or preserve your old ways of life. What will you do? We will offer survival to those who can accept it. Nothing more, nothing less. The coordinates led to a place that should not have existed. Commander Yilto stared at his ship's sensors, checking them again and again, but the readings stayed the same. Beyond the edge of the galaxy, where only empty space should stretch. Between the stars, something impossible had been built. New Terra was larger than his homeworld. It hung in the darkness like a metal moon, covered with cities that glowed with soft light. Around it orbited hundreds of smaller structures, shipyards, factories, research stations, defense platforms. Ships moved between them in organized patterns. More ships than Yilto's had ever seen in one place. Sir, his communications officer said, we are being scanned. Multiple sources, very advanced technology. Any response to our identification signals? Yes, sir. We are being directed to Docking Bay 94. Flight path is being transmitted now. As they flew closer, Yilto's could see the true scale of what humanity had built. The smallest structures were the size of space stations. The largest looked like floating continents. Gardens grew under transparent domes. Artificial rivers flowed between towering buildings. This was not just a refuge. It was a new world, but something was different about the humans they saw through the viewports. They moved with purpose that seemed almost mechanical. Their faces showed no expression. Even from a distance, Yilto's could see that they looked changed. Taller, paler, with eyes that reflected light in an unnatural way, the docking bay was immense. As the Zilani Pride settled onto the landing pad, Yilto's counted dozens of other ships. He recognized some of them, vessels from the search fleets that had found the coordinates before him. Others were alien designs he had never seen. A welcoming committee waited at the airlock. 3 humans in simple gray uniforms stood perfectly. Still, as Yilto's and his officers approached, The leader was a woman with silver hair and those strange, glowing eyes. "Commander Yiltos," she said. Her voice was calm but somehow wrong, like an echo of human speech. "I am Administrator Walsh. You have questions? I have answers. Please follow me." They walked through corridors that curved like the inside of a shell. The walls showed images of the galaxy they had left behind, star maps, monitoring data, tactical displays. Everything was being watched, measured, analyzed. "How many have come here?" Yiltos asked. 47 search fleets so far. Representatives from all major species. Some came seeking help. Others came demanding explanations. A few came planning to force us to return. And what happened to those who made demands? They learned that we are no longer the humans they remember. Administrator Walsh led them to an observation deck with huge windows overlooking New Terra's cities. In the distance, Yiltos could see construction projects that stretched to the horizon. New buildings rising. New ships taking shape in orbital. Yards, everything focused on preparation for war. "This is impressive," Yiltos said. "But can it really stand against the Devourers? By itself?" "No, but this is not our only fortress. We have built 17 installations like this one, scattered throughout the void between galaxies. Each one is defended. Each one is self-sufficient. Each one preserves a part of what we hope to save. Just human culture? No, we learn from our mistakes. This time, we are saving more than just ourselves." Walsh gestured toward the city below. Now Yiltos could see that not all the figures moving through the streets were human. There were Zilani with their 4 arms, Vex with their thin, dark bodies, even some Morden with their ancient, scaled forms. "They came to us," Walsh explained. "Individuals who understood what was happening. Families who believed our warnings. Scientists who helped us prepare. When their own species rejected them, we offered them refuge. How many? But perhaps 10 million from all species combined. Not many, compared to the trillions we left behind, but enough to preserve knowledge, culture, genetic diversity. Enough to rebuild when this is over. When what is over? Come, there is someone you need to meet." They walked deeper into the structure, past laboratories where humans and aliens worked together on projects Yiltos could not understand. Past training facilities where soldiers practiced with weapons that seemed to bend light. Past gardens where children played, human children, but also young Zilani and Vex and Morden. The elevator they rode seemed to drop for a very long time. When it finally stopped, they emerged into a command center that took Yiltos' breath away. The ceiling showed a perfect image of space, with the galaxy hanging above them like a distant jewel. Consoles filled the room, each one monitoring different aspects of the approaching threat. At the center of it all stood Director Sarah Chun, but this was not the hologram from the archive. This was the real woman, though she looked nothing like the recordings from 50 years ago. Her hair was white now, and her eyes held the same strange glow as the other humans. Lines marked her face, but she stood straight and strong. "Commander Yiltos," she said. "You have traveled farther than most to find us. You deserve to know the complete truth." "Director Chun, I thought you were dead." "I should be. I am 97 years old. But we have learned much in our years of exile. We have found ways to extend life, to enhance our abilities, to become more than we were. The war with the Devourers requires everything we can give." She gestured to the displays around them. "Look at your galaxy now." The images showed disaster spreading everywhere. The Zilani Empire had split into warring factions. The Vex Collective was breaking apart as their shared mind fractured. The Morden were abandoning their homeworlds as radiation made them uninhabitable. "The Devourers are still months away," Shun continued, "but their influence grows stronger every day. Reality itself becomes unstable in their presence. Your species are fighting each other instead of preparing for the real threat. Can anything be done to save them? Some, perhaps. But not their civilizations, not their empires, not their old ways of thinking?" Chun walked to a large display showing the galaxy's edge. Dark shapes moved there, blotting out the stars as they approached. The Devourers will reach your outer systems in 6 months, she said. When they do, the destruction will begin in earnest. Whole solar systems will simply cease to exist. The wave of annihilation will spread inward at near light speed. How long do we have? Perhaps 3 years before they reach the galactic core. After that, there will be nothing left to save. Yiltos felt his legs grow weak. 3 years for an entire galaxy to die, but you have a plan, he said. We have hope. The Devourers are powerful, but they are not invincible. 7 galaxies fell to them because those galaxies were unprepared, divided, unable to work together. We will not make that mistake. Chun touched a control, and the display changed. Now it showed New Terra and the other human fortresses, connected by lines of communication and supply. Ships moved between them, carrying weapons and resources. We cannot save your galaxy, Chun said simply. But we can save some of its people. And we can make the Devourers pay a price they have never paid before. What do you mean? Every previous galaxy fell without a real fight. The civilizations there collapsed into chaos before the Devourers arrived. They consumed dead worlds and empty space. This time will be different. The display showed human fleets taking positions at the galaxy's edge, not running away, but moving to intercept the approaching threat. We will meet them in battle. We will show them that this galaxy has guardians who will not surrender without a fight. We will prove that some things are worth defending. Can you win? Chun was quiet for a long moment. Probably not. But we can hurt them, we can slow them down, we can buy time for other galaxies to prepare, and we can save what we can save. She turned to face Yiltos directly. Her glowing eyes seemed to see through him. The question now, Commander, is what you will do with this knowledge. You can return to your people and tell them what you have learned. You can try to convince them to prepare for evacuation. You can help us save some small part of what they have built. Or you can stay here, join us, help us fight. Your ship, your crew, your knowledge of Zilani military systems, all of it could be useful in the coming war. Yiltos looked around the command center. Humans and aliens worked together with perfect coordination. No arguments, no politics, no wasted time. Just focused preparation for the greatest challenge any species had ever faced. If I stay, can my people join us later? If they decide quickly enough, we will continue evacuation. Operations until the very end. But Commander, you must understand, those who come here must accept our leadership. There will be no council votes. No committees, no debates about policy. We are at war, and war requires unity of command. You want us to surrender our independence? We want you to choose between independence and survival. You cannot have both. Through the great windows, Yiltos could see ships launching from New Terra's docks. Human vessels heading back toward the galaxy, carrying evacuation teams and defense equipment. Some would rescue refugees. Others would establish monitoring posts. All of them were risking their lives for people who had rejected them 50 years earlier. Why? He asked. Why are you still trying to save us? After everything we did, everything we refused to believe, why do you care what happens to us? Chun smiled for the first time since he had met her. For a moment she looked like the old recordings, tired but determined.